Hello everyone. In the previous lecture, we introduced the fundamentals of graph theory, where we discuss concepts like nodes, branches, trees, subgraphs, and connected graphs. So now that you are familiar with the basic terminology, today we'll move one step ahead and explore few important concepts, which includes regular and irregular graphs and incident matrix. So in incident matrix, we'll also discuss reduced incident matrix. So these concepts are extremely useful in network analysis, circuit theory, and graph representation. So let's start with regular graphs. So when nodes are directly linked to other nodes without repetition, then it is called a regular graph. For example, if we're considering a graph represented by 4 nodes, so let us complete the graph first. So now as you can see, from each node is connected to all other nodes. For example, as you can see here, the node A is connected to node B, C, and D. Now similarly, B node is connected to A node, C node, and D node. Similarly, C node is connected to B, D, and A, and D node is connected to A, B, and C. So all nodes are connected to the remaining nodes of the graph. So now in order to determine the order of the node, so the order of the node will be given as the number of incident branches. So if we see number of incident branches, then if you consider node A, then here we have 3 incident branches. Suppose number 1, 2, 3. This is suppose 4, 5, and 6. So we have total 6 branches, and in node A we have 3 incident branches. Similarly, if we see other nodes also, it is having 3 incident branches. So the order of the node is given by n minus 1, where n is the number of nodes. So in this case, the number is 4 minus 1 equals to 3. So now moving into total number of branches. So in order to identify the total number of branches, so let's see how it can be calculated. So for point A or node A, if we see, we have 3 branches, 1, 2, 3. Now if we move to point B, then we have 1, which is already repeating. Then we have 5 and 4. So the number is reduced to 2. Similarly, if we move for C, then we have 5, then 2, then 6, where 2 is repeated, 5 is repeated, and we have only 6. So each time one branch reduces. So for node A, if we calculate, it will be n minus 1. For node B, it will be n minus 2. So for node C, it will be n minus 3. So if we consider for n number of nodes, then it will continue up to n minus n, so which is equals to 0. So the previous one will be n minus n, which will be 1. Then before that, we'll be having it as 2. So if we see, this represents the series of 1, 2, 3 up to n minus 1. So we already know the equation for 1, 2, 3 up to n. The equation is given by n into n plus 1 divided by 2. Now, if we put the value of n here, in our case, the value of n is n minus 1. So similarly here it will be n minus 1 plus 1 divided by 2. So finally, the total number of branches will be given by n into n minus 1 divided by 2, where n is the number of nodes. So this is called a regular graph, or the logic behind the regular graph. So now what is the irregular graph? In irregular graph, we will be having maybe one more branch, then this becomes irregular, or we may have one branch less, so that will also make it irregular. For example, suppose if this is missing, then that is also a irregular graph. So irregular graph means all the connections where it is not regular. That means each node is not connected to all the other nodes is called a irregular graph. So this is the concept behind the regular graph and the irregular graph. And the total number of branches in a regular graph is calculated by n into n minus 1 by 2, where n represents the number of nodes. So now moving ahead, let's move forward to incidence matrix. So from a graph, we can generate a incidence matrix, and let's see how that can be done. So if we're considering an incidence matrix, so let us consider a graph. So how to identify the incidence matrix from a graph? So let us consider a simple graph containing 4 nodes A, B, C and D, and then we have branches like A to B, B to C, C to D and D to A, and we also have the branch in between B and D. So now let us orient the graphs. That means let us give the direction. So this is suppose 4, 3, 2, 1, and we have the fifth branch in this direction. So this is the graph containing all the directions. So it is an oriented graph. Now let's see how to determine the incidence matrix. So in order to determine the incidence matrix, we have to write down the branch and nodes with respect to series and parallel combination. So we'll be writing the branches in parallel and nodes in series. So we'll be writing branches here and nodes in this direction. So in our case, we have nodes as A, B, C and D. We have 4 nodes, and we have branches like 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. After arranging the branches and the nodes, so next what we have to do is we have to determine the matrix. So in order to determine the matrix, we have to identify which node is connected by which branch. For example, suppose if you are considering node A, then it is having 2 branches which are 4 and 5. So we will be putting values across 4 and 5. So now whether it will be plus or minus 1, that we have to decide. So when we will be having positive value or negative value, so if a branch is outgoing, outgoing means it is moving away from the node, then it is considered as plus 1. If the branch is incoming, that means if it is moving towards the node, then we consider it as minus 1. So now in this case, both 5 and 4 are moving away from node A. So it will be plus 1 and plus 1. And the remaining branches which are not connected, so in place of those, we'll be putting as zeros. So similarly, for B, we have 3 branches, 4, 3 and 2. So for 2, it is moving out, so it will be plus. 3, it is moving in, so it will be minus. Then 4 is moving in, so it will be minus. Then remaining, we do not have any values, so 0, 0. So like this, if we continue, then for C, it will be 1, minus 1, 0, 0, 0, because C has only 2 branches, 1 and 2, where 1 is moving out, 2 is moving in. Then for D, it will be minus 1, 0, 1, 0, minus 1. So this represents the incidence matrix. So I equals to 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, then 0, 1, minus 1, minus 1, 0, then we have 1 minus 1 0 0 0, and finally we have minus 1 0 1 0 minus 1. So this represents the incident matrix represented by I. So now this incident matrix has two unique properties. If we see the columns, then it has only two values. So either it will be plus 1 or minus 1. So if we add all the branches, then the value will be 0. So if we see, if we add all the values, then it will be 0. Considering any branch, if we add the values, it will be 0. And that is also very much obvious, because if we see a branch, so a branch is having two nodes. So either it is, so for example, if we are considering the branch 3, then it is connected to node D and node B. Now for node B it is moving in, for node D it is moving out. So it is minus 1 for B and plus 1 for D. So finally we have one positive and one negative value. Similarly, if we suppose add one more branch here, then the number will be 6, which will behave as a additional branch. So here also it will be plus 1, minus 1 and plus 1 and then 0. So finally the addition will also be 0. So this is the property 1. So now the property 2. So the property 2 states that the determinant of the incident matrix formed from any loop of the graph is 0. So for example, if we consider node A, B and D and the loop formed by connecting the branches, so we have 4, 5 and 3, and the nodes are A, B and D. So now if we write down the matrix, then it will be A, B, D, and branches we have 3, 4 and 5. So accordingly, if we write down the values, then we have for 3 it will be 0, minus 1, then we have 1. For 4 it will be 1, minus 1, 0, and for 5 it will be 1, 0, minus 1. So which is obvious, we are having these values 0, we are having the values of A, B and D. So 0, minus 1, 1, 1, minus 1, 0, and we have finally 1, 0 and minus 1. So as per the property, so the determinant of this value should be coming as 0. So let's see the determinant of the matrix 0, 1, 1, minus 1, minus 1, 0, 1, 0, minus 1. So the determinant will be, so for the first value it will be 0. Then considering this, we have minus 1 into minus 1 is 1. Then 0 into 0 is minus 0. Then it will be minus of 1. Then we have this and this. So the multiplication will be minus 1 into minus 1 will be 1. Then again 1 into 0 will be 0. So minus 0. Then finally we'll be having 1. Then this area we have to consider, as we know how to already know how to determine the determinant of a matrix. So this will be 0 into minus 1 equals to 0. Then minus of 1 into 1. So it is minus 1. So minus minus it will be plus. So it will be plus 1. So the value will be, from here we have 0. Then from here we have minus 1. From the last part we have plus 1. So finally the value is 0. So the property 2 is verified. That means the determinant of the incident matrix formed from any loop of the graph is 0. So this is the representation of incidence matrix, or how we can calculate the incidence matrix from any graph. So now next concept is reduced incidence matrix. So in order to determine the reduced incidence matrix, it is as simple as that. So it is represented by IR. So which is given by just eliminate any one of the row from the incidence matrix. For example, here we have 4 rows. So if we eliminate any one of them, then suppose the second row or the last row, and if we rewrite the matrix, it represents the reduced incidence matrix. So for example, suppose if I remove the last row, then the reduced incidence matrix will be 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, then 0, 1, minus 1, minus 1, 0, and we have 1, minus 1, 0, 0, 0. So this is the reduced incidence matrix. So if we want to determine, or if we have a numerical which contains the information of reduced incidence matrix, and if we want to determine the incidence matrix, then we can use the property 1 and determine the incidence matrix. The property 1 states that the addition of the branches, the value of the branches is 0. So for example, if we see that in the first branch the value is 1, so in order to make it 0 we have to put a minus 1, so the value will be minus 1 for this. Then the next branch we have already it is 0, so it will be 0, there will be no more values here. Then in the third case we have minus 1, so it will be plus 1. In the fourth case it is already complete, so it will be 0, and in the fifth case it will be minus 1. So now if we match this, we have minus 1, 0, 1, 0, minus 1, so we have it here. So if we have the reduced incidence matrix, then we can simply determine the incidence matrix. So these are the very important concept of the graph theory, and this will be very much essential for moving forward in the next topics. We can also see that if we have the incidence matrix, we can also do the reverse calculation and then determine the graph itself. So how to do that, that we'll be discussing in our next class. So the key insight of the incidence matrix is it has been determining the network representation and for circuit analysis and for algorithm implementation. So today we have learned regular graphs, which are uniform degree structures, and then we have seen incidence matrix, so which shows the representation and the relationship of vertex and edges. Then we have seen the reduced incidence matrix, which is the simplified representation of incidence matrix. So these concepts build the foundation for graph representation techniques, network equations, and advanced algorithms. So in the next class, we'll be continuing how to build the graph from the incidence matrix. Then we'll be moving ahead to determine the number of trees from a graph, how to calculate it, and then we'll be moving ahead into tie-set and cut-set matrix. So if you found this lecture helpful, then do like, share, and subscribe so that you don't miss any content. So remember, graph theory becomes easy only when you visualize the connection instead of memorizing definitions. So do join us in our next class. Thank you.